Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. And today we've got something pretty cool to check out. This is a Pena custom knife. And I've got to say that I've been really compelled, I guess, by Pena Knives for some time. I love the designs. And most importantly, I love what he's doing in terms of combining traditional designs. You know, this looks very much like the pocket knife your father or grandfather may have carried or even given you when you're a kid, except it has a flipper on it. It's got a bolster lock. You're talking about modern materials, modern features in sort of traditional design. So this is a clip point Lanny, which is a very well-known traditional design. And in fact, by doing this and a few others like it, Pena has actually started sort of a trend within the industry where you see, you know, companies like Benchmade coming out with more traditional folders. I'm fairly confident that Liang Ma has also done a Lanny flipper with a Riot collaboration. And that brings me to one cool thing. I know some of you watching this will go, Kevin, this knife is beautiful and it's impressive, but there's no way I could afford the price that these go for. And me neither, okay? However, Pena has done a collaboration with Riot, and I think it's going to be coming out around the time of Blade Show. So we're very close to that. I don't know all the details. I'm not exactly sure about the size or weight or all those kinds of things, but I've seen a couple of pictures on Instagram. I know Riot's building it, and I know it's a Pena design, and that alone is pretty exciting. So for those of you watching this going, you know, I could never have one of these knives. Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. I'm really fortunate that my viewer was willing to send this along. And you can follow him on Instagram, and I'll put a link down below so that you can find him and check out his Instagram feed, which should be pretty cool if it's got just nothing but this knife. And he doesn't. He's got some other nice stuff as well. So let's go ahead and carry on with our sort of discussion on this knife. This is a little smaller than I like to carry, although I will say, you know, traditional knives were not as big as sort of the modern folders that we're used to seeing today. So the 7.5 inches on size here is probably more appropriate, even though it's not really in my wheelhouse in terms of size. We've got 3.25 inches on the blade, 4 5/16 on the handle, and this guy weighs in at 4 ounces, which, you know, in terms of carrying this is going to be just fine. Of course, one of the cool things is, you know, you're getting that pocket clip, so you've got a very traditional folder, which is very highly functional in all the ways that a modern folder is functional and has all the things we look for in a modern folder. The other benefit, I think, of this style of knife, and why I think it's cool that Pena has sort of started this trend, is that you now also have a knife that you could carry and get out in public, and you're really never going to have someone who takes an issue with this knife or a knife that's similar to it. Okay, so now let's get into some of the details here. This is a beautiful knife. So here we have a clip point blade. Come on, focus. There we go. Here we have a clip point blade. You can see the Pena logo here, a very slight hollow grind, nice swedge on the top here, and this is a beautifully done hand-rubbed satin finish. This is what a hand-rubbed satin finish looks like, by the way, for those of you who have Wee Knives, or maybe if you work at Wee Knives and you think you're doing a hand-rubbed satin, this is how it's supposed to look. So please, if you would do something different, that would be appreciated. Yeah, gorgeous blade, highly functional. Again, for those of you watching my channel because you like larger knives, I think this makes sense in this particular knife, although I like larger blades. And I will say, the only little bit of a critique that I have here is I would have liked to see something a little bit different done in this area. I would have liked to see maybe move the sharpening choil this way a bit, shrink the size of the flipper, and give me just a little bit more cutting edge. As it stands, it's still very nice and very functional, I might add. Oh, one more detail I want to show you guys. See if I can do it. There we go. Take a look at the edges here and here and here. All of these edges are nicely rounded and comfortable. If you touch them with your hand, there's nothing sharp, nothing catches. It's all been really nicely rounded off, and really a nice touch of sort of extra detail or extra effort there. Moving on to lockup and deployment, this is a bolster lock. So you can see the lock bar there. You've got a decent access. I will say one of the things that this does to me sometimes, if I'm not thinking and I open this in a particular way, it'll pinch my thumb between the micarta and the titanium frame lock. It doesn't happen every time. Normally, you know, now that I've had this for a couple days, I'm used to noticing that and keeping my fingers out of there. Really stiff detent here, and fires very, very quickly. It's not a drop shut knife necessarily. It's smooth, but you can see, you know, I kind of have to help it out, and that's fine. Now, I don't know if the original owner, I don't know if the owner, this is not my knife, has messed with that pivot at all, if he's oiled it, cleaned it, not oiled it, not cleaned, you know, I don't know any of the details, but I know I'm not going to mess with it. So that's just how it is when it came to me. Now, thinking of that pivot, let's take a look at that beautifully anodized hardware. Same on the other side, and matching hardware in the pocket clip. So in terms of lockup and deployment, this is quite nice. You know, nice firm lockup. Let me show you that fairly early. Now to me, let's see if I can show you there. This does not look like a ceramic bearing. It looks to be stainless steel. Hold on, I could show you to it when I guess you're not going to be able to see good enough, but I don't think this is a ceramic bearing. I think it's stainless steel. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just the way the light catches it or something, but either way, very, very snappy detent, very enjoyable action on this knife. Very comfortable to lock and unlock. You can see that they've kind of milled out some access there for your finger. So really, really well done. Now there is no internal milling. Let's see if I can catch the light. There we go. There's no internal milling to save any weight there. However, you can see that the backspacer, the anodizing, is continued inside, which is a nice, again, just a nice little detail. Moving on though to the handle, we have a bolster lock. Looks to me like canvas micarta rather than linen. It's a little coarser than I would expect linen to be, but very, very comfortable. The transition here between the scale, or between the micarta and titanium, is quite smooth. You can feel it a little bit, but it's very, very close, very nicely done. And then as we turn this over, you've got this really nice geared backspacer, which has, again, the purple blue anodization that is really, really impressive, guys, gotta say. Very nice. And the cool thing about this is, because it's not proud of the rest of the handle, when you grip the knife and you give it a little bit of squeeze, it does add some traction, but it's not in any way uncomfortable. All right, and this knife is very nice in hand. No hot spots created by this clip. To me, the clip maybe feels a little bit big for the knife, but it you know, here, I'll put it down so you can kind of see. It just feels maybe a little bit out of balance, but not bad at all. I would have liked to see it moved up a little bit higher and be just a little bit smaller, but needless to say, no one from Pena Knives called me and asked about that. And as it is, this is a beautiful knife, feels great in hand, and who knows if the clip size isn't specifically as it is to avoid any hot spots, which it doesn't have. It feels really, really nice in hand. Now, again, being a knife that's a little smaller than I like, I don't get all of the grip that I would like to get on this. And again, I'll mention that flipper tab. I wish it was just a teeny bit smaller so that I could, even that extra 1/8 of an inch would be appreciated. So that's the handle construction. And again, oh yeah, I didn't mention the lanyard hole there. And again, and look inside. So the anodization continues in there. So again, lots and lots of really cool things about this knife. Every detail is paid attention to. And that's, and now let me talk just a moment, guys, if you'd bear with me. I'll kind of get this up here so you can take a nice close look at it. But when we talk about custom knives, it's one of those, you know, yes, they're very expensive, no question. But if you consider how much you make a week, all right, and then figure how much, you know, if you were able to make, what, 2 or 3 knives a week, how much would you have to charge for each knife in order to be able to make what you currently make every week? And I think that alone pretty much explains why custom knives cost as much as they do. It's not so much the materials, it's the man hours that go into a knife like this. And that attention to detail, while it's highly appreciated, takes time and therefore costs money. This knife is absolutely spectacular. It is a beautiful piece of functional artwork. I'm absolutely blown away by it, and I'm super, super stoked that I was able to get a look at this knife. A total joy for me to be able to, you know, carry this a little bit, use it, do some very light cutting. I will say this, I babied this knife a lot. I want to make sure that it goes back to the owner in exactly the same condition that I got it in. And so, yeah, I was pretty careful with it. And even being very careful, I was still able to really get a lot of joy out of this knife. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.